Hey, welcome back to Two Super Guys Trade Stocks. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Vinny.
And today we're going to look at Boeing. Obviously, hearts out to the kind of the terrible crash that happened. Anytime this happens, there's usually a drop in the stock. So we're trying to look at if we think it's a buy. Spoiler alert, I do. Vinny doesn't. I'm right.
I don't know. I might be scarred from my previous Boeing share ownership, so I'll talk about that for a second. But if you guys enjoy this kind of entertaining stock market content of two stupid guys trading stocks, by all means, give us a like and subscribe below. We'd love to have you along in this little adventure of ours. With that, we'll get to it.
Two Super Guys Trade Stocks. Before I
Yeah.
show some of the articles here, what do you mean? You got burned in the past?
Oh yeah, you don't remember? I owned Boeing shares like after the second crash in the 737 Max fiasco,
Oh,
before COVID. Yeah.
oh, right.
Yep.
I do.
Yeah.
I
I
do
mean,
remember that now.
it is very interesting in that this is a duopoly, right? There's only Boeing and Airbus that produce large commercial airliners, and it's very unlikely that another entrant will come to the market even in the next like 20 years. Russia has tried, China is trying, but it's very unlikely that anyone makes some serious inroads. So that was kind of my major investment thesis. Unfortunately, I kind of underestimated the erosion in the Boeing culture, and it's been pervasive. You've seen it throughout the COVID pandemic that they just have failed to recover. You have documentary after documentary coming out now telling the whole story and how poorly handled the entire MCAS situation was. And to this day, I believe they still live in part in denial to their role that they played in it.
Okay. Let me look up pervasive real quick, and I'll get back to you. All right, we're gonna look at some articles. First of all, what happened, right?
Yeah.
So basically, there's a crash on kind of the eastern part of China, somewhere in the mountains, I
Yeah.
believe. While
Yep.
my
Correct.
camera's frozen, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I don't know if you've actually seen the video clip of it, but basically, it looks straight headed down for the ground, which is what the same thing you're seeing on this chart here as far as the altitude. This is based on radar data, but unfortunately, it looks like it was I want to say 24,000 feet or 27,000 feet, and just took a straight nosedive down, and it had a slight correction upward, but it was very brief, and then it continued down to the ground. Uh, you know, the MCAS, for those of you who are not aware, was something that's not on this plane anyways, but it was involved in takeoff is where that would come up, the moving characteristic augmentation system. Most plane crashes kind of happen in the beginning and the end. Seeing something like this from like a significant elevation is unlikely. To have be a control surface problem, because even if it were a control surface problem, to have it go into that extreme downward trajectory is unusual to be explained by a mechanical failure. I'm no air accident investigation, but I've seen every video about it on YouTube.
So now you're an expert.
Totally. State of the Holiday Inn last night too, and everything.
Boom. Just like I'm an expert on OBS and forgot to use airplane mode and got a call. Uh,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so kind of I'm going to echo the same thing. It doesn't, how do I say it, quite make sense to drop that much that fast.
Yeah.
So here, lost more than 21,000 feet, regain altitude, kind of everything Vinny said. Another thing in the background of this plane specifically,
Mm.
this is not the Max that had all the trouble that Vinny
Yeah.
experienced, all that kind of stuff. This is part of a whole different family, and basically it's called one of the NG family. And right here, they have actually one of the best safety records of any plane available. Um, I know Southwest American, a lot of people have these planes. Uh, the China Airline, they go into New York Times, recently does have a good track record for safety. Before, I guess back in the day, they did not. Um, in my opinion, I don't think that it was the plane. We're just guessing. But with all the
Yeah.
facts being shown, I don't think it was a plane. Or if it was, I don't think it was a defect of the plane because they've had that plane since 2015 with no issues whatsoever.
Yeah. I would mirror the sentiment. It's like unlikely to be a Boeing problem that resulted in this crash, unfortunately.
Right. So there's the chart. Monster volume, 27 million shares sold. I mean, just an absolute crazy amount of volume. We haven't had this much volume in right here.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a
March
bit of a
21.
doji there, huh?
Yeah.
So it doesn't really
So
know what it wants to do.
we gapped way down, went down further, and then finished up, which would be sort of a bullish sign. That being said, it's not rocket science to see here that this is in a downtrend. We are having trouble getting the 200 moving average. This gray line is the 200 moving average. We are having issues trying to get above it. Tried, failed, tried, failed, tried, failed. How stereotypical is this? That's like a perfect. That's like in textbooks,
Yeah,
right?
that's pretty
So take it for what it is. I personally think that, and I am going to buy some. So
nice. Wait, you buying this as a swing trade? Buying this as a long-term buy and hold? What is your
swing
thought
trade to the
process
200
there?
moving average.
Okay. All right. And when 200 moving average is at what level right now?
215.
Oh, okay. So you've got $30 or so a share to run to that level.
Yeah. I'm going to
Okay.
do one of the old Vinny credit spreads, debit
Okay.
spreads, credit spreads. And a side note, Vinny, I need you to do it for me.
Yeah, it would be a credit put spread or it would be a debit call spread if you wanted to play this in a bullish direction from here. Those are your two options choices if you're doing spreads.
Suck at spreads.
Interesting. Yeah, definitely interesting. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on Boeing. You know, they still haven't started deliveries of 787 again. You know, that's another major problem. That's a headwind their company's facing. They've had a lot of issues kind of getting back on track, and it's not just the 737 Max hangover. I think they had a company culture issue that was a problem. As you can imagine, it takes a while for that to right the ship.
Yeah, for sure.
But
With
I
that
think
being
this
said,
issue is a non-issue for them.
right. With that being said, if I would like this to gap to at least above the high of yesterday. If it doesn't, I'm not gonna buy this until it at least sets a new high. So it could go down a little bit. Obviously, we had a rough streak right here on some. Now, granted, that was kind of a whole market issue,
No market
but
sell off.
I
Yeah.
would like to have a new high before I get in this trade.
All right, interesting. I mean, you certainly have some bullish sentiment with Europe right now too. It looks like Europe is going to be spending a little bit more in defense over the next few years. And if I don't know if you looked at this, but Boeing gets about 30-40% of their revenue actually from defense spending.
Didn't look at that. Purely
Yeah,
swing trade. I don't want to
they're a
be in
bigger
the
military contractor
for
than you think.
long haul at all, to be honest. Not when
Understood.
they were. I remember your experience, and I don't want to deal with that. Yeah,
The time will be right, but the time to me for a long term, not now.
got it. All right, guys. Let us what you think. If you're Team Vinny or you're Team Dylan, I'm correct.
Yeah, catch you
Have
guys
a
in the
good
next one.